The road to Indy glory has always been built with innocence and experience. Each brick offering a glimpse of a young rebel willing to take a chance, or a wise veteran wanting one more lap, one more win. New ideas and innovations made racing a brain game, engineering some of the most amazing action in 500 history. Fast speeds, dynamic duels, and fantastic finishes personified the greatest spectacle in racing. An incredible journey like this can only happen once, a time when the past and future battle for racing supremacy. This is the 80s, a decade for the ages. At the dawn of a new decade, ground effects and aerodynamics are hot topics. Dan Gurney uses a wind tunnel to give birth to his latest creation. But the Indy of Gasoline Alley is a car affectionately called the Yellow Submarine.
Well, it was the first true ground effects car. In other words, we were heading that direction, but the cars that had preceded in USAC were flat bottom cars. They had no shape to the bottom to give them aerodynamic assist, or to create the downforce. That's in effect what the car was like a section of airplane wing turned over.
The state-of-the-art chassis built by Jim Hall represents the future of racing. It's one of a kind. It's the Chaparral. After an impressive maiden voyage 1 year ago, the Chaparral is the car to beat in 1980. All the pieces are back in place, except for driver Al Unser.
It was one of those, deals that myself and the team didn't see eye to eye on things, so I elected to leave. And I always said, if you're not happy with where you're at, you should leave. And so Jim Hall and I just separated. It was a shame, but yet I'm still not sorry today.
Johnny Rutherford is more than happy to fill the void left by Unser.
And fortunately, I took my chief mechanic, Steve Roby, from McLaren with me, and so I set the car up the way I liked it, and we started going fast immediately, and it was really a dream. The car was so good. We had quick time every day of the month but one, and it just seemed like an omen. We dominated.
By pole day, it's clear the Chaparral and the Pennzoil team had no equal. If there ever has been a sure thing at Indy, the Chaparral was it. Rutherford sits on the pole with a speed over 192 miles an hour. Roger Penske's trio of talented drivers grabbed 3 of the next 5 spots. Tom Sneva qualifies 8th, but a practice accident totals his Phoenix chassis and sends him to the back of the field.
One of the right side wheels broke and it put us into the wall, destroyed the car, and we only had one, so we were forced to start the race in our backup car, which was an old McLaren.
The class of 1980 features a new crop of racers. 10 rookies made the show. Roger Rager's the fastest, and Tim Richmond quickly learns that Indy plays no favorites. On the final day of qualifying, rain keeps Janet Guthrie off the track and out of the race. Her run at Indy comes to an end. Some of Hollywood's biggest stars show up for the greatest spectacle in racing. But beyond the pre-race pageantry are 33 men focused on 500 miles and 1 trophy.
Dwayne Sweeney waves the green flag and the race is on. It's a drag race between Rutherford and Unser to turn 1.
With its aerodynamic advantage, the Chaparral is clearly the class of the field. Rutherford leads the first 15 laps.
Point Rutherford with no problems whatsoever in running any place on the racetrack that he wants. He stretches out the lead in turn 3.
While cautions and pit stops shuffle the field, Tom Sneva vaults into the top 10. Lap 73, and the rookie Richmond leads, but not for long. Sneva darts past and completes an incredible journey from worst to first.
There's a real battle between the two. It is Sneva and Rutherford. Bing, bing, like that as they go off down the main stretch.
Lap 140, Rutherford leads. Sneva sits in second, ready to sink the yellow submarine.
That car was just head and shoulders above everybody, and you know, as long as he stayed out of trouble, you know, there was no touching him.
After his last pit stop on lap 171, Rutherford begins to reel in Sneva.
Rutherford pouring on his steam as they go by me now, still about 8 car lengths behind there in turn 3.
Rutherford Chaparral gobbles up Sneva's march in a matter of laps. When the 12th caution of the day comes out, that sets up one last dash for the checker.
When we had that last caution and he was behind me, green flag came out and I kind of let it have its head and run for a little while, and I pulled away steadily because we were faster.
Bright yellow Pennzoil number 4, Johnny Rutherford, almost 3/4 of the way through this race.
Johnny Rutherford is driving a magnificent race and a beautiful race car, handling beautifully. He's doing about everything he pleases.
With the sun shining and Lady Luck smiling, Rutherford has just 20 laps to reach Indy glory.
And he just seems to be at extreme ease. Well, he had to be labeled as the favorite going into this event, and it looks like he's going to bring home the victory.
Number 4, the Pennzoil Chaparral, his hands in the air. Johnny Rutherford wins the 1980 Indianapolis 500-mile race.
Rutherford leads 118 laps and crosses the bricks 30 seconds ahead of Sneva. After his car runs out of fuel, Rookie of the Year Tim Richmond hitches a ride back to the pits on the Chaparral. But victory lane is reserved for JR and the Pennzoil team.
It's a great sense of accomplishment and feeling to have won the race or succeeded anytime you race, but especially so at Indianapolis.
Despite starting dead last, Tom Sneva turns in an impressive second-place finish, the greatest improvement ever by a driver at Indianapolis.
I did a great job driving that day. The crew did a great job. We got the most out of a 3-year-old car and took advantage of all the rules to finish second. Yeah, I hadn't started way back before like that, so it was an experience. But when people ask me what your best race ever was, and that is the one I tell them about.
After the Chaparral's impressive showing, John Barnard's aerodynamic innovations quickly spread across Gasoline Alley. A record 105 entries arrive at Indy in 1981.
It was a period of refinement in terms of construction. The most significant thing of the 80s period was the discovering of the technical abilities to develop the aerodynamics.
Improved design with an emphasis on technology would make this one of the most competitive Mays in 500 history. A week after rain interrupts qualifying, Bobby Unser grabs his second Indy pole. The Northern Spirit clocks the first 200 average in 3 years. Tom Sneva is the quickest driver in the field, but his brand new March chassis arrives too late for the pole. So Sneva starts 20th.
The March was just, you know, evolution number 2 of ground effects, and it was a little better than anybody had seen at that time. And so, you know, we had a little advantage that way, obviously.
The 81 field features 10 rookies, including Indy legacies Jeff Brabham and Tony Bettenhausen. Mexico's Jose Ligarza garners the most attention after qualifying 6th. The 1969 champ, Mario Andretti, starts 32nd. The weather and his Formula One obligations keep him from qualifying.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Bobby Unser is untouchable at the start. is Penske Cosworth builds a 3-second lead over Rutherford and Foyt. Tom Sneva slithers his way through traffic and takes over the lead on lap 33. The English-built March looks to be the real deal. Rick Mears is the other Penske car in the top 5. He pits on lap 58.
Apparently one of the crew members is on fire. He is running around, dancing around. He needs help. They're looking for help for him. Rick Mears is out of the car. Apparently a fire on Rick Mears' car as he comes in for a routine pit stop.
The nozzle had jammed open, and he threw the nozzle on the ground, but in the process of throwing it on the ground, it sprayed the fuel in the air and then subsequently caught fire.
When I was sitting there at first, I saw a big, splash on the dash. Then suddenly a wave of fuel ran down over my visor, and about then I thought, man, we're in trouble. And I no sooner got that thought out, through my mind, and it ignited.
Invisible methanol flames engulf the pit. The fire sparks mayhem, and the crew scatters for help.
I turned around to get a fire extinguisher, and then just as I turned around, luckily I was turned around, because instead of my face getting burnt, my front of me getting burnt, my backside and back got burnt.
Everybody's trying to help, and it's panic. You can, as many times as you talk about what we need to do if something happens, you don't realize it. When it happens, it's panic. It's sheer panic.
I watched on video on replay, and from the time it ignited to the time I was put out, it was probably only about 30-some seconds, but it seemed like 30 minutes at the time.
Mears and 6 crew members suffer severe burns. The incident prompts officials to re-examine safety conditions in the pits. Back on the track, teammates Gordon Johncock and Mario Andretti battle for the lead. Danny Angaias runs 5th.
We've had a terrible accident in turn number 3. One of the cars has hit the outer wall. There are pieces of race car everywhere. The car is in flames, but there is a fire truck there. A number of the safety officials were up against the wall. They quickly dove down the embankment to get out of the way.
Fans fear the worst. The car disintegrates down the short chute. With the cockpit gone, the driver is eerily exposed. He survives, but suffers broken legs, arms, and internal injuries. After a 30-minute caution, it's still Patrick Racing running 1-2, but Unser is on the prowl.
Bobby Unser moves out and around Mario Andretti and does it right at the line, so Andretti will be scored in second place on this lap, but it is Bobby Unser that has moved into second place, and he is now beginning his pursuit of Gordon Johncock. Unser tries Johncock. Ron Carroll, yes, Unser has the lead.
Bobby Unser has got him. He's got him. Oh boy, what a tremendous race this is.
When the leaders pit, rookie Jose Ligarza leads 13 laps. A strong day running up front earns him top rookie honors.
And another car hits the wall right in front of me. A car is into the wall right in front of me. And it is Gordon Smiley in number 60. Smiley came in contact with the wall going into turn number 4. He has stopped right in front of me. There is damage to the left side of the race car, but Gordon appears to be okay.
On lap 150, Andretti leads Unser into the pits, but Bobby is the first out. Lap traffic separates the two when the race resumes. Bobby runs away for 30 laps, but a series of cautions close the gap.
What a tremendous race this is.
It's just like a sprint race right now. As Bobby Unser is in the lead by about 3 car lengths right up to the wall, up the backstretch.
Bobby Unser has the advantage on Gordon Johncock. He pulls away from Johncock as they head towards turn 3 one more time.
Bobby Unser followed closely by Gordon Johncock, 1 and 2 on the racetrack.
10 laps to go. Just 2 seconds separate Unser from the Patrick pair. Gordy's engine quits just 6 laps from the finish. Now, Andretti moves up to challenge for the lead, but the STP Special runs out of laps.
Bobby Unser, the Northern Spirit car number 3, accepts the twin checkered flag from Dwayne Sweeney. Bobby Unser has won the Indianapolis 500.
Bobby Unser becomes the 3rd straight Indy driver to start first and finish first. That wasn't an easy win either. Unser lost his radio, drink hose, and suffered a brief methanol fire while driving. But victory lane quickly erases those problems.
When everybody is working together as a good team, a driver knows it. The team knows it. Everybody knows that they're working together. We had it that year.
Despite an incredible jump from 32nd to 2nd, Mario Andretti is frustrated with his finish.
When Bobby and I came out of the pits together, he picked up something like almost 11 cars on me. Point is, it was unfair that he gained that much advantage there and he wasn't penalized for it.
After the race, car owner Pat Patrick files a protest that claims Unser passed several cars under the yellow after pitting, a violation of the blend rule.
Well, you know, it's one of those deals that Bobby understood the rules, and he didn't break the rules. The blending line was off of turn 2, and that's what he did. We all did the same thing. In other words, it wasn't something that he pulled out of his hat and said, well, I'm smarter than you. We all did it.
When the United States Auto Club posts the official results the next morning, Andretti is shown as the winner. Unser is docked 1 lap for the infraction.
When I got the news this morning, just right after 8 o'clock from Jim McGee, I just didn't know what to say, and it's going to take a while for me to get all my thoughts together.
As Andretti poses with the Borg-Warner Trophy, Roger Penske appeals the decision. It will now take months of litigation to resolve the dispute.
I thought I was probably in the wrong court because I was in Indianapolis with the judges, but when they looked at all the data, it was determined that the officials had all the information. If they wanted to call it, they should have called the violation.
In October, the USAC appeals panel rescinds Unser's penalty, replacing it with a $40,000 fine. 138 days after the race, Bobby Unser is declared the official winner of the 1981 Indianapolis 500.
Quite honestly, I'll say it, I think there was a lot of political intimidation on the other side that I think played a big part here.
They forgot to write a rule about it, and so I did it. What I did was a legal thing. What I did was right. It's just that they had a misinterpretation of what they thought the rules were.
There's no way that can ever wash, ever, ever, ever. Because they could say, well, we don't have enough proof that he passed the cars. They could have said anything at all except that. So that one I'm afraid I'm going to take with me the rest of my life.
An influx of rookies migrated to the Brickyard at the start of the decade, and 1982 is no different. The legends of the Brickyard are not ready to slow down just yet. A battle is brewing between innocence and experience. '81 champ Bobby Unser will not defend his title. Instead, he'll tutor sophomore Jose Legarza. Filling Unser's seat at Team Penske is Kevin Kogan. On pole day, Kogan sets a new record with a lap at 204 miles an hour. But Kogan's happiness is short-lived. Teammate Rick Mears is next out.
It is a new track record.
The Gould charge crashes Kogan's run by 3 miles an hour. Mears is on the pole with a 207 average. Team Penske starts 1-2. Four-time winner A.J. Foyt celebrates his 25th straight Indy 500 on the outside of row 1. Veteran Gordon Smiley is killed instantly when his car strikes the turn 3 wall head-on.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
The 11 rows of 3 are perfectly aligned. All eyes are on racing's greatest prize.
We've got an accident on the main straightaway. Kevin Kogan is against the wall.
Kogan's car suddenly veers out of control and hits Foyt. With nowhere to go, Andretti spears Kogan's machine. The race is stopped and the blame game starts.
Well, I don't know. He run right square in my damn left front. What are you talking about? Moving?
Well, all I know is we were moving down nicely and started to accelerate, and the car just moved to the right. There's a tire mark on the right side of my car. I don't know what happened.
This is what happens when you have children doing the man's job up front.
We didn't find anything with Kevin's car, but clearly something strange happened there. I'm not sure to this day what actually went wrong.
You know the minute you see it exactly what happened, and then you sit back and you want to hear the excuses.
Oh yeah, I went right through it. The pieces were flying. I was probably a row or about 3 rows behind him, something like that, 4 rows. I forget where I started, but it wasn't a pretty sight.
Hoyt's crew fixes a bent rod, and he returns to action.
The green flag is out, and it's a drag race between Rick Mears and A.J. Foyt. A.J. Foyt leads to turn 1.
For the first time in his grand career, Hoyt leads the first lap of the 500. Super Tex leaves Mears in his wake, but only momentarily.
Rick Mears pulls alongside Foyt on the main straightaway. Foyt cuts him off in the first turn. There's a slower car in front of Foyt. Ron Carroll.
You got it, Paul. Foyt did cut him off. Rick Mears drops back down, maybe 25 yards. They're in the south chute right now, heading over to turn 2.
Car 14 is flawless for the first half of the race. A 5th win is in sight, but problems plague Foyt on lap 95.
The helmet is off, the headstock is off. He just took a hammer and really walloped something. Probably, it says apply blunt instrument, and that'll do whatever to take care of whatever the problem is.
The feisty Foyt is persistent, but his car calls it quits with a bad transmission. Mears takes over the top spot and has no equal.
He was on it. I mean, there was nobody quicker as an oval driver.
Lap 160. Gordon Johncock takes the lead. The STP Wildcat quickly becomes a contender.
I had a bad car at first. In fact, if it hadn't have been for a yellow, Rick Mears would have lapped me. But a yellow saved me, where we could come in and make adjustments on the car. And then as the race went on, we made more adjustments on the car, and then the car become really drivable.
And look at that Wildcat fly as Gordon Johncock is leading Rick Mears. He got him on the back stretch, and he's leading him into the first turn.
And he's building up on that lead. Gordon Johncock in car number 20, the STP oil treatment special. Rick Mears and then Tom Stevens, they head into turn 2.
Gordy and I had run back and forth with each other several times throughout the day, and I really didn't have any problem getting by him when I needed to. But then toward the end, I saw he was going to be one of the guys up front we're going to have to contend with.
With 20 laps to go, it's now a 2-car race. Johncock versus Mears, the sly veteran against the young speedster.
The crowd on their feet here in turn 3. Mears just can't get around Gordon Johncock. He shut the door again, got the horsepower up, and he's leading going into 4.
Lap 183, Mears makes his final stop.
Mears has to lock the brakes up. He almost rear-ended a car that was slowing in the pits. Now Mears screams down into his pit area.
Waiting. Now the hoses are out. He's on his way.
The fuel nozzle stayed in the car way too long, and we filled it up. It didn't need to stay in as long as it did, but he went out with a full tank of gas.
And we did put too much fuel in it, in my opinion, we did. And that's what cost us the race, because we could have stopped 5 laps earlier and we would have still got it.
Johncock makes his final pit stop 3 laps later. The factory crew executes a time stop to perfection, and Gordy maintains his lead.
There he goes! Gordon Johncock is on his way! His crew is ecstatic! They're calling it their greatest stop of the day, maybe of their decade. Gordon could be on his way to another win.
Despite a full tank of fuel weighing him down, Mears manages to cut into Johncock's lead.
Here's Gordon Johncock, but not too far behind him is Rick Mears. Rick has got the pedal to the metal, as they say. He's trying to catch Gordon Johncock. Can he do it?
And it really surprised me. I didn't think we'd be able to catch him. And then when I started seeing that we were gaining a second a lap, and then knowing how many laps were left, I thought, there's a possibility here. We can still reel him in.
And I knew that he was getting there, fast, but I was driving practically down on the bottom in the grass to allow myself enough room coming out of the corner, because if I'd have stayed out high and I'd have had to back off the throttle, coming out of the corner, Rick would have driven right under me with no problem whatsoever.
He is getting much closer. It's going to be a shootout.
I think in that particular time I probably was giving him the splits, but once he was close and he was catching it, he didn't need a lot of coaching at that point. He knew exactly what he had to do.
With 2 laps to go, Mears makes his move.
It's a drag race. They're side by side. Johncock and Mears. Mears on the inside. Johncock, Mears forced down the little line. Run.
Johncock cuts him off.
I caught him going into turn 4 on the white flag lap. I thought, well, why wait? You know, so I had some momentum on him, and I just went ahead and pulled out.
I couldn't see him, so I cut down low, and when I did that, then he was right behind me, and he had a lot of dead air, which shoved him wide coming out of turn 1.
I don't think there was anybody on the track that was any harder to get by going into a corner. He'd get into a corner about as deep as anybody alive.
Mears loses momentum, but gives it one last shot. It's a battle to the bricks.
Gordon Johncock off the 4th turn. Mears is right behind him. Johncock, Mears makes a try. Johncock wins it by less than 1/10 of a second. Gordon Johncock has won his second 500. What a finish. I'm sure in the 66 running, they have never seen a finish like that.
The fantastic finish is the closest in 500 history.
I was worried. I mean, let's put it that way. There was no question about it. I had to drive the car everywhere on the racetrack. I got into a pushing problem, you know, with about 10 laps to go. It's why he caught me so fast. And the more I went, the worse he got, and I just had to use up all the apron to be able to stay full throttle coming out of the corner to keep from driving into the fence.
Johncock returns to victory lane after a bittersweet visit in 1973.
I remember thinking, during the race, you know, if we can't win it, I hope he does. Because 73, you know, the year he won was just a terrible year. And he really didn't get to enjoy or appreciate what the race was all about and winning it. So in that respect, I was glad to see he got it. But I mean, still would rather have won it. But he did a great job. He stood on the gas and he was, you know, hanging on for dear life that last couple of laps.
Well, everything was happy moments about winning in '82. You know, we didn't have any disasters of any kind, and we just worked together good through the race. You know, was able to come out on top.
If there is one constant at Indy, it's change. In 1983, new rules, drivers, teams, and cars posed plenty of questions. The answers would come throughout a very surprising month of May. In another attempt to slow speeds, USAC officials reduced boost and called for 2 inches ground clearance. This all but eliminated aerodynamic side pod skirts. 15 cars struggled to meet the new standards, sparking plenty of controversy. The March chassis is the popular choice in the pits. The mass production of the car makes it easy for nearly everyone to be competitive.
Drivers seem to be able to get them up to speed a lot easier than some of the tried and true drivers at the time were having trouble. And the March chassis just was such a superior chassis. It made driving a lot easier.
Rain postpones qualifying until the second weekend. Mike Mosley briefly holds the top spot. Then, Italian rookie Teo Fabi stuns the Speedway faithful.
It is a new track record.
Fabi puts the Skoal Bandit on the pole with new 1 and 4 lap records. He is the first rookie pole sitter in 33 years.
The Indy is the most important race in the world. I've never been so fast like at Indy, and it takes a few days to get used to the speed.
Racing's next generation continues to embark upon the brickyard. This year, it's 21-year-old Al Unser Jr., the son of the three-time champ, is anxious to run with the big boys.
We had been in the top 10 most of the month, so, you know, we just go out and give it the best shot. I was disappointed I didn't get the pole. I was disappointed I wasn't on the front row.
Little Al starts fifth, and for the first time in Speedway history, a father and son will compete in the Indy 500.
Competing against your son is a lot different than competing against your brother. And it taught me a lot. You know, I had to concentrate in a different way, and I had to totally not think of him as my son. I could only think of the car that he was running. I was running against the car, not my son.
The green flag flies, and we're racing in Indianapolis. Bobby jumps into the lead, Mears into second place. Mike Mosley drops back to third.
Teo Fabi's leading him quickly. He's got quite a great lead going into the North Shore Chute.
Very few people thought that Teo Fabi would lead the first lap, but it looks like he's going to.
After leading the first 24 laps, Fabi's memorable May ends when the O-ring fails during his second pit stop.
The yellow light just winked on in the first turn. Come in, Ron Carroll.
And car 66, Johnny Parsons, lost it coming through the first turn, spins. Mario Andretti right behind him, had no place to go. Andretti, car 3, smashes into him.
It's yet another ugly Indy for Mario Andretti. His inaugural run with Newman Haas Racing ends when he runs into a spinning Johnny Parsons on lap 80. After a miserable month, even Tom Sneva is surprised when he takes the lead on lap 147.
So I'm thinking, you know, I should be able to make the 2 o'clock tee time, no problem. I mean, we hadn't run more than 20 miles at a time without something happening, and there was a lot of friction among the team, and so it was one of those days where you maybe weren't as optimistic about finishing the race as some other times that you'd been involved.
Tom Sneva must have the strongest engine under the sun in the back of that car. I mean, he has got about a 50 car length lead already on Al Unser Sr.'s in 4.
The gas man instantly becomes the class of the field as he builds a 25-second advantage over Unser and Rick Mears.
You know, when we had to do it and when the pressure was on, everybody worked together, and you know, we had a great race.
Let's go to the first turn, Ron Carroll.
Right, and it's Mike Mosley up against the wall, Paul. Mike Mosley coming through this first turn, simply lost it.
Sneva narrowly avoids Mosley and darts into the pits. Unser Sr. comes in and brings the crowd to its feet with an 11-second pit stop. Al is 30 laps from his 4th Indy win.
Al Unser acknowledges the green with a burst of speed and leads Tom Sneva down to the first turn.
On the restart, a lapped Unser Jr. runs between his first-place father and second-place Sneva.
I'll never forget, under the yellow, he was able to drive past a bunch of cars to position himself between me and his dad, and I that didn't seem right, and I couldn't ever understand why the officials let that happen.
Clearly the quicker car, Sneva makes attempt after attempt to get by young Unser, but fails.
I wanted Dad to win, and so I was gonna try to be the infamous lapped car that gets in the way. You know, that lapped car that gives you a headache and so on. And so I wanted to give Tom a headache, and so I did.
Well, little Al may be helping Dad as Tom Sneva comes alongside, tries to get by little Al, but little Al slams the door on him.
When you're talking about the biggest race in the world, you've never won it, and you know, you're getting a little frustrated with the blocking situation that was happening, and so it was. It took some real good emotional control to try to bite your tongue and hold off.
He wasn't blocking. See, that was the press. That was Sneva and the press. He was using the air to you, and it does affect your car when you use the, you know, in front of somebody, but, you know, moving around is when you really block. Now it didn't block.
I think it was fair racing. When you go back and you think about you know, those situations, it happens so fast and it's over so fast. You know, I don't think that in any case that there was anything there other than, you know, fair play.
He had burned off the heavy load of fuel, and so
I said, well, give him the signal, turn up the boost. And he can't, Little Al was holding him back. He turned up the boost. He passed Little Al.
Here comes Tom Sneva moving out, trying to get alongside Al Unser Jr. as he chases his dad, Al Sr., and Sneva does it.
Lap 191. It's time to go. Sneva passes Little Al in turn 1, then aims for the elder Unser.
I was scrubbing the front end pretty bad, so I was a victim by that time. He was quicker than I was there at the last, and that's what it takes.
They flash by Essen, it's nose to tail, as Sneva drops down inside on the low side. I think Tom Sneva's got it! Yes! Sneva's in the lead!
Sneva sails away from the Unser family and sets his sights on the checkered flag.
It was quick. It was quick through the corners, and if you're quick through the corners, it makes you look like you're going faster when you're down the end of the straightaway.
When you talk about nice guys, you talk about Tom Sneva, and there are many people in the stands who had hoped that he would pull off a victory someday, and he's very close.
The Texaco star, Tom Sneva, screams for the line, the double checkered flag, and Tom Sneva has won the Indianapolis 500, his first victory ever at Indianapolis.
A bridesmaid no more. Tom Sneva finally finishes first at Indy.
And it's one of those deals when you win, everything's pretty well gone right, and it seems, you know, like you did your homework and everything. It doesn't seem as hard as it was to run second all those times.
I mean, he'd blown up so many engines that year, that month, there's no way. And of course, the only day that they hold together, it's the race day, and he did a great job. And as I say, on his day, the right car, really, really tough to beat.
Boy, he used up all the racetrack there was to get around it, and it was, like I say, to follow him in practice or even in the race was quite a treat.
The win is the 7th for Chief Mechanic George Pignotti. Sneva also brings the March chassis, its first of many 500 victories.
With the victory at Indy, it's almost when you did it, you know, that's what you were supposed to be trying to do, and it wasn't till as time goes on you realize how big a thing winning Indy is.
Three years since its debut at Indy, the March chassis is now the car to beat at the Brickyard. The demand sparks mass production and gives every contender hope.
When that happened, is the entire level of racing, the quality of the racing and the intensity of it just went like that, because now any team could come in and have competitive equipment. If you had the resource, hey, you can have the best thing, you can have something as good as Roger Penske's got or anybody else. And that really kind of made it democratic all of a sudden as a series, that, you know, you had access to whatever it took to win.
The 1984 Indy 500 features a record 117 entries, most of them marches. Even top teams like Patrick and Penske are now dropping their own designs for the English-built chassis.
The 84 year was significant in the sense that it was a March chassis, and the year before we ran a Penske chassis, and it was totally unsuccessful. It was a bad car. It wasn't a good car.
Our new car just wasn't getting the job done, and you know, that's one of the great things about Roger Penske. Just, you know, even though his name is on the car, he wants to win as bad as anybody else does. He put that car aside and said, let's go get a March. You know, this one's not getting it done.
He's on it. Tom Sneva breaks 5 track records with an historic pole run. The gas man is the first to break the 210-mile-an-hour barrier.
That was an emotional time. There's adrenaline flow. I mean, that's the toughest 4 laps in racing by far, and I think everybody will agree with that.
It's a new track record. Over 210 miles an hour.
But it was just a challenge. It was you and you know, everybody's following the same set of rules, and it was just, you know, it was a lot of fun trying to get a little more out of the car than anybody else could.
Teammate Howdy Holmes and Penske pilot Rick Mears joined Sneva on the front row. Row 2 features Mario Andretti and his son Michael. The 21-year-old qualifies fourth, the same spot his father started from in 1965.
Normally you're really intimidated, but because everything was going so smooth, I got a little cocky, to be honest with you. I think I was a little too cocky, and because it went way easy. I mean, it was like, dude, this is not bad, this isn't that hard.
After a short racing sabbatical, two-time Formula One world champion Emerson Fittipaldi qualifies 23rd for his first 500.
It was a good crew, but a very small team. But there was not the pressure to go to Indianapolis to win. It was exactly what I need. I need to go to Indianapolis to learn Indianapolis. And the only problem that I had, the car was pink. Must be the only pink car in Indianapolis. But I had a lot of fun.
The field of 33 features 29 March chassis.
The green flag flies. They're racing. Rick Mears just in the lead. Tom Steva back into second place to turn 1.
Mears streaks to a superb start and leads the first 24 laps.
Michael Andretti moves past Tom Steva. Ronnie, pick him up.
You are right. It is Rick Mears and then Michael Andretti. Tom Steva shot back to third place.
Young Andretti wastes no time striding his stuff. The newcomer stays up front all day.
In the beginning of the race, I went right to the front. I was battling Mears and Sneva for the lead there, and the car was incredible. So it was like, wow, this is like a dream. It was fun doing it because, like, you know, you're racing the best. You know, the best maybe that ever raced at Indianapolis, and you're running right there with them, and you're rookie year, the first time you've been there. So yeah, I mean, those were special times.
With quick pit stops and an even quicker car, Mears doesn't hesitate to retake the lead.
Mears drops down inside Andretti as they're in heavy traffic going to 3. Larry.
They're side by side. Rick Mears gets by Andretti. Scott Brayton cuts him off, but right now it's Mears. Andretti. Sneva goes low on Andretti in the short shoot. He's trying to make a move and take second. They're in 4.
Midway through the race, we really had that race under control. Mears was long gone. And to me, that really was a day for us where if we executed, there was no question that we would win that race.
I mean, when you have a guy like Mears, who had that place well figured out, is probably one of the best, you knew you could always win it. All you had to do was give him the car.
A horrible crash has occurred here in turn 4. We do not know the car involved. He spun coming off of turn number 3, hit the inside retaining wall very hard. The car flipped over several times, and it is now upside down with the driver still in it.
Journalist turned driver Patrick Bedard survives an incredible crash after his car explodes into pieces down the backstretch.
It was one of the most terrific. I mean, you couldn't find the car. You basically couldn't see the car. It looked like a bomb had went off, and it just looked like, you know, you looked over in the grass there in the short chute between 3 and 4, and it looked like somebody didn't pick up after a big picnic.
Sneva's Texaco Special is the only car that can compete with Mears' Pennzoil Z7. A battle brews when the race resumes on lap 168.
Tom Sneva appears to be without power. The car slowed as he came out of turn number 3. The rest of the drivers accelerate as the green comes out.
He was in second place, but obviously something wrong with Tom Sneva.
With Sneva out, Mears is now 2 laps up on second place. He can almost taste the milk.
Everything worked very well, and you know, it was kind of surprising. It just shows the depth of the team to be able to, you know, pick up a car that some of the other teams have been using for a while, and for our kind of first experience with it, be able to pick it up and beat them at their own game with it. It just shows the strength of the team.
It really was a tribute to a lot of good people in the team that really, you know, tackled a mission that was, on the surface, mission impossible, to come out with the PC-12, throw it away, go get marches, and everything you had to do to get those things ready.
6 years in a row he's led this 500. He will win his second today, coasting to victory. Rick Mears in 4.
They're twin checkered flags waiting for Rick Mears of Bakersfield, California. He raises his hand in the air as he screams over the line. Rick Mears has won his second Indianapolis 500-mile race.
Mears leads 119 of the 200 laps to earn his second Indy win.
The first one wasn't a fluke. You know, you get the second one, it puts you in another class, another league, or however you want to say it. You know, to have multiple wins, and you know, it was exciting because I'd learned from the 79 by then, you know, what that race meant to win that race. So it was very exciting to get that second.
Rick, just a great driver, used his head real well. He was probably one of the best at figuring out where the limit was, and he was easy on equipment, got the most out of it, and followed along and didn't say much, and you know, drove the wheels off it.
Roberto Guerrero finishes second in his Indy debut. The Colombian shares top rookie honors with Michael Andretti, who finishes fifth. After 7 straight Indy wins for the Cosworth engine and a long march to victory lane with the chassis of choice, the March Cosworth package looks unbeatable again in 1985. The only problem is that the ultra-competitive combination leaves nothing to the racing imagination.
Cars were just stuck like glue, and you know, you were driving around Indianapolis basically with your foot to the floor, and anybody could do it, and it was just a matter of who could trim out the car the most and still get around the place quickly.
It was really down to the team and the drivers. They could exploit the maximum out of those cars, because your competitor could look at your car and he's got one just like it, and he could do just about anything he could that you could do.
1985 marks the first attempt by teams to overthrow the March Cosworth dynasty and bring racing back to the future. While the odds favor a Cosworth engine on pole day, it's an American-made Buick V6 that steals the show. Scott Brayton turns a lap in excess of 214. Then Pancho Carter goes even faster, earning his first Indy pole. Buick starts 1-2. Cosworth fills out the field. While marches occupy the front row, Mario Andretti puts his faith in the Lola and starts fourth.
At home again in Indiana.
A smooth, fast start. The green flag is out. Pancho Carter accelerates. Brayton jumps back, and now the field heads for the first turn.
When the green drops, so do the Buicks. Carter and Brayton can't keep up with Bobby Rahall's Cosworth.
Pancho Carter's down to the inside. Smoke coming off badly. That number 6 Valvoline Buick Hawk. He's down to the yellow line. He may be headed for the pits.
By lap 19, both Buicks have bitten the dust. Mario Andretti grabs the lead. For the next 250 miles, it looks like over a decade of disappointments might come to an end for the 1969 champ. Then along comes Danny Sullivan.
Danny Sullivan has Mario Andretti in his sights in 4.
He sure does. It's only a separation of about 2 car lengths.
On lap 118, the Penske newcomer makes his move earlier than anyone expects.
He gets right up on Mario, as the footage will show, and he wants to take him, and he's got to take him in 1. There's just no messing around. This has got to be done now. And he didn't say anything to us. He just went after Mario.
Sullivan darts out, pulls alongside Mario Andretti. It's a drag race down the main stretch.
I got him, and it is Danny Sullivan gets him. Danny Sullivan gets him down. No, he's squirreling. No, he's spinning. Danny Sullivan spins, but he goes around twice and gathers it in.
Absolutely incredible.
I tried to correct it a little bit, but then the front end kind of bit. And of course the fear is you don't want to go to the wall front nose first. And so then I just gradually turned back and lost control of the car and spun, jumped on the brakes, and of course was yelling at myself about, you know, you finally get in the lead of the Indianapolis 500 and you've blown it again.
Everything happened just a split second. And I figured I'm just going to stay where I am and just trying to favor as much of the inside as I can without spinning myself. And as it turned out, we were just, like I said, just of Dios looking after us, and we must have missed each other by just a couple of inches.
Then all of a sudden the smoke kind of cleared and there were the turn 2 sweeps and everything was right there, so I just took my foot off the brake.
I came on the radio to him and said, pit this time, and he came back to me saying, yeah, it's me, I'm okay. And I looked around to the Pete Parrott and the guy says, what did he say? I didn't equate that was him.
Without live television, Sullivan's crew has no idea that their driver caused the caution.
He comes in, not much is said. He says on the back straight something like he's okay and everything, the car's okay. And we come in, do our pit stop, send him back out. Later on, as we got down to the final stages of the races, then we got a little bit more. He spun and he kept on going. Did he really? God. And it wasn't till we looked back and saw the footage in the garage that we really, I anyway, certainly hadn't appreciated what had happened.
I had to try to mentally just, okay, it happened. It's done. We're still in the race. We're in second place. We're back a little ways from Mario. Let's just get back in the game.
We have 2 cars crashing here in the first turn, both of them up against the wall. One driver is out of the car. We have debris all over the track.
Before the crowd can catch its breath, Sullivan dodges danger 4 laps later.
And then I thought, when I got through that, I thought, you know, we're having a pretty good day here. This is kind of going our way.
The yellow punches the field. On the restart, Sullivan sets up for another run at Mario.
He started to pick up the pace and didn't say anything, but he just started getting quicker and quicker, and he honed up on Mario, and you know, we talked to him, asked him how things were going. Everything was fine, and he's driving like a dog.
It's a great race, only 2 car lengths. Sullivan slightly below the line as they come off of 4. Could he pass Mario Andretti on the straightaway?
Danny Sullivan hesitates behind Mario Andretti, now tucks in right behind him, pulls out alongside on the main stretch, begins to roll past Andretti.
All right, Danny Sullivan gets him this time. Sullivan gets him this time and goes by very smoothly. Mario Andretti now dropping about 5 car lengths behind.
Sullivan turns up the boost and leaves the Beatrice Lola in his mirror.
We've got a car up into the wall in turn number 3, sliding down the short chute.
A late caution signals hope for Andretti. He has 4 laps to make his move.
And then when I looked behind me too, and I saw, I think Howdy Holmes was behind me, and then Michael, and then Mario. And I thought, well, you know, that group's not going to slow Mario down at all. He'll be through there like so quick.
It's going to be a shootout right down to the end. They're in 4, heading to the green. The question, can the Lola handle well enough to catch Danny Sullivan?
The answer is no. Despite a superb run by Andretti, Sullivan's March Cosworth slips away on the restart. This is Danny's day.
The Indianapolis 500 has a new champion as Danny Sullivan has won the 69th Indianapolis 500.
The spin and win for Sullivan personifies the changing of the guard at Indy.
Well, I figured when I got to the Penske operation, I'd gotten to the top team in motor racing. But I figured also that this was where the work was really cut out for me, because these guys demand a lot from you, expect a lot from you, but in the same token, they give a lot in return. And I knew that if I gave 110%, we'd come up with a result. And the proof's in the pudding. Here we are.
To have Danny win that race, it was terrific, because he really brought a lot of credibility to the team and to the sport, because he was well known from New York to LA. Guy from Louisville, Kentucky, kind of a road racer, made good in a tough guy sport at Indianapolis.
Holland's Harry Landijk earns accolades as 1985's best rookie with a 7th place finish. The 70th running of the 500 features several historic changes. The most prominent, the reconstruction of the famed garage area. Gone are the green barn doors and the cozy confines. In its place, 96 brand new garages.
They'd seen many years, and you could tell, and their names written on the side of the walls, and the doors didn't fit that well, and as I say, they were hot, and you couldn't do anything in them, but hey, that was Indy. And that was part of the flavor of it.
It kind of separated the cars and the fans a little bit, but not much. Indy is, even though the fence was very close to the garages before to keep the people out, I think, you know, things change and times change, and it was time for a change there. The cars and the people outgrew the garage area.
Team Penske is always a threat to make history at Indy. A formidable lineup of Mears, Sullivan, and Unser all have a shot at the pole.
It is a new world record.
The rocket stuns the qualifying crowd with a lap of 217 miles an hour. Mears bumps Sullivan off the pole and takes back the track records. It's the third pole for the two-time champ.
That was probably one of my favorite things to do, was qualify at Indy. You've got to deal with 4 laps instead of just the best of 2. You've got to deal with, was that 16 corners, and if you blow one, you've blown all 4 laps. So that's where the pressure comes in of not making a mistake, but you've got to be on that limit.
Rain dampens race day, and the day after, Mother Nature prompts officials to reschedule the race to the following Saturday.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light?
The 1983 champ Tom Sneva loses control of his machine on the pace lap and hits the wall. The gas man's day is over before it begins. The race is red flagged. The delay prompts the restless crowd to perform the latest stadium craze, the wave.
The wave kept on going, and the fans over here where I am just went nuts when that happened. Then it jumped the next wave, and the thing would crew over to where Howdy Bell is down that backstretch. They're having a great time here at the Speedway. Now we can just get some doggone cars to run.
Gentlemen, restart your engine.
The green flag flies. Rick Mears accelerates. Michael Andretti jumps ahead, and the race is underway.
They will tell you the outside of the front row is the place to start, and Michael Andretti proved it. Andretti is first.
When the race finally gets going, Michael Andretti leaps into the lead. The Krakow car runs up front for 42 laps.
And I think my best shot at winning a race, and twice I got myself in a position where I'm leading and I pit and the yellow comes out and I lose a lap 2 times in the race, and because of that we didn't win. But I think, again, we had the fastest car in the race, and it was bad luck where we were pitting 1 lap too early twice and it caught us.
To spin in the pits, Chuck Marlowe.
Well, it didn't create a yellow on the track, but A.J. Foyt, in an attempt to slow down and get into his pit area, just did a loop. The car really sashayed. We have sideways stripes down here. I can't tell whether he did make wall contact or not.
After becoming the only driver to turn 10,000 miles at Indy, A.J. Foyt's day ends early when he spins in the pits. As the race wears on, a dogfight develops between Mears, Bobby Rahal, and Kevin Cogan.
Here comes Bobby Rahal. The True Sports Budweiser march down to the inside in heavy traffic. He's put 2 cars between himself and Rick Mears, and Kevin Cogan is closing on Rick Mears now, so we may have a battle for second. Indeed, the battle is for second position. Here comes Rahal. He has the lead, but Kevin Cogan now is right on the rear wing of Rick Mears. Cogan is really on the move. Randy Lanier will be the car that he passes, and then clear sailing between himself and the leader, Rahal.
I had a great race with Rick, and of course Kevin came on strong and drove the wheels off that thing. But it was a great race, and the 3 of us really dominated the event.
No lead is ever safe at Indy. Lap traffic and fuel could determine the outcome of this race.
By the time I got by him, I just used up the right front, and then they had the momentum on me. They'd caught me at the same time and had the momentum and just went on by. And then it was just a matter of hanging on and making the best of what we had.
Bobby Rahal has done it. He's gotten by Rick Mears. Now he wants to get by Randy Lanier. They're all together in a group. Mears down low. Rahal up high. Cogan goes high. Cogan on the outside of Rick Mears. Tries to go inside. He can't do it. Unbelievable racing. Kevin Cogan takes second place in the 4th turn. Rick drops back to 3rd.
absolutely tremendous with just 14 laps to go. Bobby Rahal takes over the lead, but now Kevin Cogan challenges Jerry.
Kevin Cogan takes the low road down inside the yellow line. It is still Rahal, Cogan, now it's Mears. It is Cogan out in front now.
It's Cogan, Rahal, and Mears, and you can throw a blanket over the three of them.
Kevin Cogan is a contender all day, but gets the best seat in the house on lap 188.
Cogan just bided his time, turned up the wick, and he's moved out to a 7-car length advantage.
With about 10 laps to go, it was clear that we were going to have to chase Kevin down because he was, you know, he looked like he was going to hit the wall every corner. I mean, he was taking an extremely high line, but he pulled it off. He drove brilliantly.
Accident off of the fourth turn. Looks like Ari Leyendijk in the fourth turn as the yellow flag comes out.
The question is, will the race end under yellow? And if it doesn't, will these three drivers battling for the lead have enough fuel to go the distance?
Mears and Rahal have a new lease on life. The caution sets up another fantastic finish.
Kevin Cogan picks up the pace, and they are flying at Indianapolis. The first three are right together. Bobby Rahal charges down the inside, and Rahal comes past Kevin Cogan.
Rahal stomps on the accelerator. He's built a big lead by turn one.
You know, we had the car to do it. You know, you forget the fuel. In fact, you had these very crude fuel lights at the time that all they did was they flickered. And I remember just screaming at the car, you know, like I'm riding a horse. I'm saying, "Don't leave me, don't leave me, don't leave me." And of course, it didn't.
Rahal has the lead. Cogan second, Mears third. They're in the straightaway.
The final roar of the racing engine. Bobby Rahal accelerates, and Bobby Rahal has won his first Indianapolis 500.
I remember crossing the finish line, but I don't remember. People say, "Well, what'd you do?" And I go, "I don't really know." I mean, I was, you know, the race was over. It was one of those great feelings, but you didn't know whether to feel relief or happiness or what. You just knew you had all these emotions come over you.
Rahal is the first winner to celebrate in a brand new raised victory lane that rotates for the crowd to see. But the win is also an emotional one for the True Sports team. The 500 is the last for car owner Jim Truman, who succumbs to cancer 2 weeks later.
Everybody knew, and nobody wanted to say, well, this is probably the last 500 Jim's going to be at. Certainly all of us knew that, you know. I mean, he had contracted cancer in '84, and only radical treatment had kept him alive as long as it had, and it finally just caught up with him. And we wanted to go and win, and we wanted to win for Jim. But I think obviously we all felt a huge loss because, especially for me, Jim was, he could be my father, he could be my friend, he could be my confidant, he could be my buddy.
Kevin Cogan settles for second, Mears third. It's the closest 1-2-3 finish in 500 history. For the first time in history, ABC will broadcast the 500 live to a national television audience. When practice begins for the 1987 May Classic, 8 former winners return to tame racing's greatest track. But notably absent is Al Unser. The 3-time champ is without a ride for the first time in 20 years. But a lot can happen between the first practice and the last lap. The Flying Hawaiian, Danny Ongaias, replaces Big Al at Team Penske. But that's not the only change on the captainship. Chevy powers the team instead of the dominant Cosworth.
Anytime a change like that came along, I always embraced it. Because that's how you get an advantage, is by doing something other than what the other guys are doing. And you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's how you know, unless you change something, you don't know.
After a week of practice, Team Penske still struggles to find speed. The crew tries pairing the new motor with 3 different chassis before ultimately heading back to the shop. Penske's problems continue when Ongaias suffers a concussion in a practice crash. Gaius must sit out the race. The captain's first call is to Al Unser.
Penske called me and asked me if I'd run the car, and I said, heck yes. And I didn't have to take a second guess about that one because it is a team that is capable of winning.
The thing about Al Unser, he wasn't going to run a car that wasn't a decent car, and I take my hat off to him. And he was certainly, would have been the very first guy you would call.
Mario Andretti has no problems with his Chevy Lola. The 1969 champ is fast all month and takes the pole with ease. Rick Mears recovers and puts a year-old March on the front row. Unser must wait until next week.
We made the decision very quickly that our car wasn't going to make it. And we had a very good car, back in Reading. It had a Cosworth in it at that point, and the old story is we took the car, it was a show car at the Sheraton Hotel, brought it to Indy.
From the hotel lobby to the qualifying line, Al Unser makes the show and starts 20th.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
Mario Andretti begins to accelerate. The green flag is out. Mario Andretti picks up the lead, followed by Rick Mears and Bobby Ray Hall.
From the very start, it's clear that Mario is the man to beat. Andretti leads 170 out of the first 177 laps.
Mario Andretti coming down this long back straightaway. We clocked him a few moments ago, running laps at around 203. He is by far the class of the field as he streaks on down, passes Al Unser Sr. Now he looks to set up Davy Jones on the inside. Mario Andretti having a field day so far.
Attrition shrinks the field, but Big Al is still in the hunt. His car, dubbed the Sleeper, runs third. Mario is slowing down.
We didn't lose it because anyone made any mistakes. It was just fate. It was just, engine very new, and they found out later, obviously, as to why, but it's fair enough. We did our job, and I think, and that goes a long way, believe me.
Just when it seems like everything is going Mario's way, an electrical malfunction takes him out of contention. Roberto Guerrero inherits the lead and is one lap up on the field. Guerrero's final stop seems to be just a formality on his way to the checkered flag.
Roberto Guerrero is in. They top him. They've disengaged. He stalls the engine. Now, back the inertial starter. It is in. Roberto Guerrero fires again. It catches quickly. Luckily, they push him off and won't catch fully. Now it does engage. Now it doesn't.
And Al Unser picks up the lead of the race as Guerrero stops on the pits. Al Unser picks up the race. The crowd comes to a stand. Guerrero sits silently in the pits.
Jobless 2 weeks earlier, Al Unser leads the Indy 500 with just 18 laps remaining.
Mario Andretti's car is all but stopped in the middle of turn number 4.
The yellow flag flies. That means Roberto Guerrero will move up behind Al Unser, and we will see a sprint to the finish at the Indianapolis 500.
I says, oh my Lord, this can't happen. And he gets to make up a whole lap, see, and comes in behind me.
Well, Al's experience was going to pay for the win right then. That's why I had him in the car, and there's no question. Roberto would have had a tough time getting by Unser Sr.
When the green flies on lap 196, Guerrero sifts through traffic, but he'll never catch Big Al.
And it showed the strength of Al. He was his typical self in running, strategy, stay in touch, position, and be there when I need to be there at the end to win the race, and he did.
Are we looking at another 4-time winner in the making?
Al Unser Sr. had not led here since 1983. He's going to win his 4th Indianapolis 500. He's got one more turn to negotiate, and he'll be home free.
The chances of me winning that day, everybody will say it was 1,000,000 to 1. Well, those kind of deals come true once in a while, and there it was.
I knew I had the best driver in '87, that he could win that race if we gave him the right car, and he certainly did.
And history is matched as the twin checkered flags come out for our second 4-time winner of the Indianapolis 500, Al Unser.
yes, it really surprised us, you know, all of us. It did me, I know. You know, it's one of those storybook races that comes true and really made me happy.
In one of the most amazing stories in 500 history, Unser and Team Penske beat the odds to win Indy with a year-old March Cosworth.
And it shows the depth of the team to be able to take a different package and work it right along side by side with the others, and to be able to handle the job at hand, you know, just shows the strength of the guys.
The experience and the approach the team had, going back to Reading, pulling those cars out of showrooms, I mean, they literally were show cars, and putting them into race and trucking them back to Indianapolis in time to re-qualify. There's a lot more than luck in there, but certainly there's a touch of it that year.
Unser's miraculous May certifies his legendary career. At 47 years old, he also becomes the oldest winner of the 500.
Al Unser deserves compliments as a race driver. I've always admired him for his savvy as a race driver in the race. I think he's as clever, as astute as any race driver I've ever raced against.
It's a good day for the entire Unser family. Little Al comes home fourth, his best Indy finish.
It was a long, hard day. It was a long, hard month, and so I didn't like any of it. Didn't like any of it. The only thing that made it worthwhile was Dad winning, and that was it.
And for the second time in 4 years, Guerrero is a bridesmaid at Indy. Chances of a win shattered on his last pit stop.
It's a shame, you know, I came in the pits and I couldn't get the car out of gear, so I knew we were having a little bit of trouble. I was hoping we get it done as soon as possible, and but when the car dropped, the engine just died, so it's disappointing.
'88 marks the 20th race at Indy for Roger Penske. In that time, the captain has won 6 500s, including 3 of the last 4.
You've got to say we own the place. Yeah, I mean, I don't know anybody else can be better. No one's got a better record.
Winning is super important to him. And everybody would say, well, it's important to me too, but he radiates that desire probably more than most I've seen. So it's infectious. It makes you, it motivates you, and it prioritizes you.
This May's top priority is another trip to Victory Lane. And with Penske's potent 1-2-3 punch of Mears, Unser, and Sullivan, the team hopes to make this a race to remember. After the chassis struggles of 1987, Team Penske takes no chances and runs a brand new PC-17 designed by Nigel Bennett.
You know, as soon as we unloaded that thing off the truck, it was quick wherever we went. So, you know, qualifying, you know, we pretty much felt that it was going to be, the pole was going to be between the 3 of us.
Defending champ Al Unser is first out and clocks at 214. Danny Sullivan follows with an impressive 216. But the fastest driver in the bunch has yet to turn a wheel.
As I came in, I told him what the car was doing and what the track was doing, so it helps the next guy. And Sullivan did the same thing with Rick, probably, see. And so having good working teammates like that, it's a plus.
I was fortunate by being the 3rd one out that I got that input back, that feedback.
It's a new track record.
Mears becomes the first band to break 220 miles an hour, and in doing so, shatters his old track records. It's a 500 first as Team Penske sweeps the front row.
With the 3 drivers that we had, and to think that we could put all 3 on the front row, that was, to me, one of the greatest races to see start with those three cars. Remember, we had the polished wheels. There were the flat wheels that day, and to see those cars come down was terrific. And listen, it was a great feat for all three drivers, because any one of them could have sat on that pole. It was just the way it worked out.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Look at Danny Sullivan breaking through the front. Rick Mears on the inside. Who will pull the lead, Jerry?
It is Danny Sullivan. Sullivan is first, Mears is second, Alonso is third.
We got a wreck just down below it, into the wall here at turn 2. It appears to be Scott Brayton and Roberto Guerrero just into the wall below us. We've got a yellow here, also Tony Bettenhausen involved.
A three-car incident delays Sullivan's supremacy. But when the race resumes, Danny sprints back into the lead and takes control. Mears falls back and goes one lap down.
Interesting, as the race started, Mears said, geez, this car I can't hardly drive it. And we had to take all the wheels back and take the flush wheels off and remount the open wheels to get the car so he could drive it in the race. People don't know that, so we had most of our guys back changing tires.
Rick Mears got the lap back. He got around his teammate Danny Sullivan, so Rick Mears now back in the hunt. All three Penske cars are on the lead lap. Could it be 1, 2, 3 at the end?
Mears regains his winning stride and passes Sullivan to get back on the lead lap. A perfectly timed caution a few laps later puts the Rocket back into contention.
Oh, we've got a correction number 1. It is Danny Sullivan. He's hit the outside wall.
After dominating the first 90 laps of the race, Sullivan's day ends in the turn 1 wall.
There wasn't anybody that could touch us that day. And for a race car driver to get his car so right on a day and dominate so much in the first part of the race and then have something break on the car is just the most frustrating feeling I think that you can have, because you knew it was right there for you.
On the bright side, Unser takes over the lead and becomes Indy's all-time lap leader. Big Al chases an unprecedented 5th 500 win, but his other teammate is within striking distance.
If you don't have a total balanced car and your other competitors do, or the next one to you, then they just go by you. And Rick fell back. They couldn't get the car to work, and all of a sudden they did. Saying that, and here come Rick.
Actually, your teammate is your biggest opponent. Your teammate's your biggest rival, and he's the man that you want to beat. So when the green flag drops, it's every man for himself.
As that race evolved, I remember I said, Rick, just take it easy. Al was ahead of you. Don't. We got plenty of time, and just about that time, he ran down into 3, got by Al, and he said, Al's awful racy today. He said, I think I got to move on here.
It is Rick Mears who has gone into the lead, passing Al Unser.
Mears and Unser shed their teammate ties and battle, wheel to wheel for the lead.
These are teammates fighting for the lead. Rick Mears has got it now. He's got one man in between, so Al Sr. has to back off a little. They're really going at it.
That's one of those examples of having 500 miles to get us sorted. It was a struggle. It looked like it was going to be a long day, early on, but then, we were able to get the car back where we need to be.
Both Mears and Unser vehicles are stacked up behind some slower traffic. They'll try to pass on the straightaway. We may have a lead change, Lou.
Watching them come by right now, and on the inside is Al Unser and Jerry. He's going to pick up that lead, or is he?
Oh, yes, no. Rick Mears holds him off. Al Unser now, he may make the lead change in number 2. No, there goes Mears. What a great move.
After taking the lead on lap 123, Mears pulls off Unser and never looks back. The Rocket is on his way to becoming a 3-time Indy champ.
Rick was probably one of the smartest and talentedest men that could sit back, and he never quit thinking. And between Roger Penske and Rick Mears, they made it happen.
A late yellow means no last-second drama. The 500 ends under caution for the first time in 40 years as Mears clinches another Indy win.
Each win, it just got better and better. You know, you hear a lot of people say, well, that, you know, the first win is always, you know, the best. But to me, it's kind of the other way around. Each one of them got better for me because, like I said, I never dreamed of going there, let alone winning.
You know, Rick deserved that win. That was one of his best drives, and again, that really capsulized when you think about the 80s to come back and have the wins, you know, during the 80s and with three great drivers.
In a complete team effort, Mears comes from one lap down to win and cements Penske's Indy dynasty.
That's actually one of the exciting things about the race. You can be down a lap or nearly 2 laps and still come back and win if you've got the car. And you've got the combination of car, driver and team. You can do that.
Roger Penske celebrates his 2 decades of dominance with a record 7th Indy win, making him the most successful car owner in 500 history.
I think 74% or 75% of all the laps our 27 cars ran there, we finished, which was amazing, and then to see the results on poles, also the results from a winning perspective, kind of set the 80s special for our team.
It was a super team. There was a lot of good stuff from front of the door to the back. It wasn't just one lucky piece that turned out to win. There was a whole support system and design and a driver caliber that really did a good job.
A hard-charging Emerson Fittipaldi turns in his best Indy performance to finish second. After suffering serious injuries in 1987, Jim Crawford returns and is the only non-Penske driver to lead the race. The inspired effort results in a 6th-place finish. Indy and speed have always been synonymous, and the 80s are no different. The average pole speed has jumped by more than 20 miles an hour since 1980.
Driving-wise, it was really not a lot of difference. You know, the limit is the limit, and that's the whole idea of this business, is you take it to the limit, and then you find out why, you know, what it is that's keeping you from going on, and you try to correct that. Or you try to improve it. And that's just the nature of the beast. That's how you go forward.
A newly paved brickyard ensures that the cars will be even faster and more records will fall. But one thing stays the same. Penske is the team to beat. Like father, like son, 1989 brings Mario and Michael Andretti together as teammates for Newman Haas Racing.
Alongside of, I think, just being the first father-son team and all that, I think it brought a lot more attention to it, which allowed, you know, more sponsors wanting to be involved in it, and I think it was something new and exciting.
Danny Sullivan breaks his arm in practice and ruins any chance of another Penske front row.
The track is open for qualifications.
On pole day, Al Unser breaks 5 records in 4 laps. Then around 2 o'clock, it's time for the rocket.
It is a new track record.
Mears turns a series of laps at 224 and earns a record 5th Indy pole.
To a lot of people it was expected, but I don't think we ever expected it. We knew what it took. You know, it took a lot of dedication, a lot of work from a lot of people to make it happen. And some lady luck on your side too.
The drivers we had just were great qualifiers, and Mears was one of the very, very best. He seemed to be able to dig down deep when it came time to qualify and make it happen, and you saw that many, many times.
While Emerson Fittipaldi's machine looks like a Penske entry, his PC-18 belongs to Patrick Racing. The Brazilian qualifies 3rd.
I love Indianapolis. I adapt myself to the style of Indianapolis, and not just driving, but the procedure. To be there the 3 weeks, tremendous pressure, going out every day, in the morning, in the afternoon, but you have to be patient.
Godspeed on the way, a perfect start on the line. It is even as they come to you, Jerry, 3 of them.
And quickly on the outside, Emerson Fittipaldi takes the lead.
Emerson Fittipaldi got the quick start from the outside. He's got a 20-car length advantage.
Fittipaldi's enormous lead quickly separates the haves from the have-nots.
A crash coming out of turn 4. The car has gone into the pit area. I believe it hit the abutment separating the track and the pit road. It is well out of my view. The car went into the pit area and is stopped there right now.
Evan Cogan spins in turn 4 and hits the pit road attenuator. Miraculously, Cogan escapes the horrific crash without a scratch. Back on track, Fittipaldi sorts through the back markers. At the halfway point, only 3 cars remain on the lead lap.
I was driving a Penske race, and I was going faster than the Penske team. I mean, I dominated the race. The car was good from lap 1 to the end of the race.
Lap 113, Mears is the last of 3 Penske drivers to retire from the race. A bad engine ends the captain's chances of a three-peat. Emo's first true test of the day comes on lap 150. A yellow allows second place Michael Andretti to take a shot at the leader.
Michael Andretti, is the fastest and the strongest, it appears, at this point.
He went to the inside and just flew by Emerson Fittipaldi like he was sitting still, and he still maintains that lead.
Michael's Lola Chevy rockets ahead, and for a while, it looks like fate might be kinder to the younger Andretti.
Michael Andretti slowing down. The crowd just came up in a big roar. He's down below the white line. There's smoke coming out of the rear of the automobile. He's just about halfway through the short chute.
Bad luck bites again. The large plumes of smoke signal the end of Michael's day.
That was the best the car was handling all day, and I thought, this is it, we're going to do it. And engine went up in smoke. I mean, it was just it was a bummer. That year, I mean, I should have won the championship. I should have won Indianapolis. Should have. But that was the start of my big disappointment in Indy, for sure.
Taro Palmroth brings out the yellow on lap 181. Second place Al Unser Jr. stays out, while Emo ducks in for his final stop.
He's down off the jacks, 13.1 seconds. Another splendid stop for Fittipaldi, but he slows on the pit road. He's forced pits away from us, hits the clutch, it engages, and he goes back onto the course.
Fittipaldi nearly ruins his race, but recovers. Emo's next challenge comes on the restart with little Al ready to pounce.
Down to the white line, Al Jr. looks for the outside line. He goes to the outside, almost wheel to wheel. Al Jr. tries him, he can't get him.
Emo uses lap traffic to distance himself from Unser. But Junior's lighter fuel, though, is giving Fittipaldi fits.
And I was getting great mileage. I had everything turned down most of the day. I was using the cars down the straightaways to get me draft. Everything. As long as Emo didn't get more than 15 seconds in front of me, we were great.
Here comes Al Unser Jr. on the inside. He's got it.
He's got it.
He's got it going through 3. But does Al Unser Jr. have enough fuel? He didn't stop.
These 2 guys, Fittipaldi and Al Jr., giving us one of the great races of recent time.
I got the traffic. He passed me, and when I was behind Junior, I said, well, that's not fair. I have to win this race. I dominated the whole race. I have to go back in the lead.
It's another dramatic duel at Indy. The last race of the decade will go down to the wire.
To me, it was the most exciting last few laps of any race I raced before.
Slower traffic in front of him now. Al trying to get to the outside to pass Emo right behind him. Emo moves to the outside down in front of Howdy Bell. Moves still very close to that white line. They head for 3. Emo may have him.
I was worried about getting by the 2 guys on my right. And so I finally got by the one in time to get up and make the arc for the corner, because both of us were down too tight to run any kind of lap speed and make that left. But I was still too tight to make the corner. And so I lifted, and when I lifted, Emo showed up.
They're side by side. Emo on the inside. Al caught in traffic. Goes high. There comes wheels. Al Jr. into the wall hard. Emerson Fittipaldi will lead them back to the yellow flag.
I mean, we were dicing all the way down on the straight, and he pushed me down, and I said, no way I'm going to back off. And I'm sure our Lancer Jr.'s mind was going the same. He's not going to back off. And we both went side by side on turn 3, and I was very lucky that my car got sideways, and I just touched Junior's side pods, side of his car, and then he lost it. What a finish.
Emerson came around and Al didn't. And really the first thought, at that time is, is everybody okay? And, is the car okay?
Fittipaldi keeps his car off the wall and takes the checkered flag under the yellow.
There was a gesture given by Al Unser Jr. as Mo passed by on the racetrack. Certainly some disappointment and frustration from Al Unser Jr.
Only Al Unser Jr.'s pride is hurt when he climbs from his damaged car. Just 5 turns from victory, little Al takes second.
I was upset, I was disappointed, I was everything. But he drove a great race. He was the winner of the 1989 Indy 500. What if I was to flip him off? I mean, I'm 27 or 28 years old. I'm flipping off a 2-time world champion.
When Al walked out and gave him thumbs up, it wouldn't have been me. I would have thrown everything there was at him. But it's heartbreaking to see your son come that close and have it go away.
At age 42, Fittipaldi becomes just the 4th driver to win Indianapolis and a Formula One world title. The Brazilian becomes the first foreign-born driver to win in 20 years.
I remember after he first ran a couple ovals, he said, there's a lot to this. He said, I'm going to have to do, my homework. And I could tell by the way he was thinking, he was a man that was going to be figuring it out. And obviously he had the credentials to do it.
Unbelievable, when you think that here's a multiple world champion who showed up at Indy his first year in a pink car, run by a team that was, weekend warriors at best. And I give tremendous credit for that, because a lot of people wouldn't, they'd let their pride get in the way of that.
Oh, it was very emotional. I mean, was a time of my career that I had much more experience. I enjoy more a win, and winning Indianapolis was fantastic to me. I mean, to roll into that situation. And then my memory went back to Jim Clark, mid-50s. In the Bettenhouse, Vukovic, I mean, all the big names from Indianapolis. I remember to watch a documentary in Brazil from the 50s about Indianapolis. That was the only thing I could watch in Brazil. And everything was like a videotape of all that wins, all that great champion. I was there among one of the Indy winners. That's fantastic.
The 1980s delivered hope for the future and made legends immortal. Both Father Time and Lady Luck played significant roles in shaping this era. But ultimately, the field of 33 had the last word. From the look of the cars to the names of the drivers, a lot has changed over 10 years, but the excitement has not. In the end, incredible innovations and dynamic drivers dominated the Brickyard. But every 500 still provided the unique drama that makes Indy the greatest spectacle in racing. And the 1980s, a decade for the ages.